Chair sees a quorum. The Senate will come to order. Members, please take your seats or take your conversations outside. Senate will come to order. It's the custom and tradition of the Senate on each Thursday we have a brief devotional before our prayer. With us today is Father Donald Wolf of St. Eugene's Catholic Church of Oklahoma City, a guest of Senator Bice. Father, you're recognized for the devotional.
Thank you. Good morning. Begin this morning with a short reading from the 43rd chapter of the prophet Isaiah. Remember not the events of the past, the things of long ago consider not. See, I'm doing something new. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? In the desert I make a way, in the wasteland rivers. Wild beasts honor me, jackals and ostriches, for I put water in the desert and rivers in the wasteland for my chosen people to drink, the people whom I formed for myself, that they might announce my praise. My father was a farmer, as was my uncle's, and my uncle, somebody gave him for Christmas a great big long screwdriver, a Craftsman screwdriver that was really terrific for all kinds of things. But because it was long and had a wide blade at the end, he used it for prying and pushing most of the time. One day when he was in the middle of prying something really hard, the thing snapped in two. And so he sent his wife down to the Sears store because it was Craftsman and you could get a free replacement. So she brought it in two pieces, and the guy behind the counter said, well, I'm going to give you a replacement, but I just have a question. How did you break this screwdriver? And she said, hanging pictures. Tools are useful because they're given to us to be able to use, of course. But if you pick one up and you misuse it, well, then it doesn't quite work the way it's supposed to. If you take a carpenter's square, which is great for what it was built for, and you can take it and use it for all kinds of things. You can make it into a kind of bracket. You can use it for a kind of pick to dig something out of. You can even use it, I suppose, for a boomerang. It's not ever going to be any good for much of anything else than what it was designed for. But if you use it for other things enough, you could even pick it up and you start to use it for what it was designed for and find out that your walls aren't plumb and that the pitch on your roof's not right and your building is oblong and not square. And you won't even know because the tool that's built for one thing, used for another, when it starts to be used, then isn't good for anything, which is the drama that's left in our world, to make of the world what it was left for, and to make of the world what it was for us. We may not know why things don't work, but if they're not working, it's probably a good measure to ask what it was built for. The drama of life is finding the real function that we've been given and using the tools that we have to match the needs and the deficits of the age with the resources that we've been given. And the world is full of potential created for us and present to us, that we can perfect creation and make it into what it was designed to be. After all, not everything in every detail in the creation was simply placed here. Even at the beginning, God entrusted Adam to name and to distinguish and to do. And looking around at all the things that have happened just in the last few years, the technology in the oil and gas industry that's transformed the state and now the country, all that oil and gas was there anyway. But with the tools and the cleverness that's there, we've been able to, make it available to us. It's always been there. But not just in technology, but in relationships, in what we're able to envision and imagine, and then put into practice in the relationships between people. To just look at and I'm old enough to now have known somebody who started school in kindergarten and now is a postdoc, and the ways that their minds and the way that they put together the world, the way they understand, and what the transformation that has happened on the inside and the potential for the transformation of the world on the outside that lies in this one mind is practically unbelievable. To match the resources that are present with the world that awaits. And one of the great resources that we never attend to, that's hinted in Isaiah's description, is God's resource of time. He made the world in 7 days. He accompanied the Israelites for 40 years. He accompanied Christ 3 days in the tomb. The time becomes the means, the resource by which God recreates the world, and which we participate in as we participate in God's participation in the world. In the movie, the movie Contact, where the main character, Jodie Foster, is asking her father about all of the galaxies in the world, billions of galaxies, trillions of stars, and she wants to know if there's any other life out there. And he turns to her and says, well, if there's not, it's a gigantic waste of space. But 13 billion years for the origin of the universe. What is it? 4.5 billion years for the life of the planet. 1 billion years for the existence of the planet. 1 billion years for life to appear. All of that's been necessary to put us here. Time, the resource for what this plan unfolding in our lives looks like. God's the author of our lives, but brings us to the moment to bring our lives to fulfillment in time. Which means a couple of things. The first it means is that our lives have a direction. We're all given purpose and promise. We're on our way somewhere. Time points into the direction that we're supposed to head. Whereas Jeremiah says, I know well the plans I have in mind for you, plans for your welfare, not for woe. He's saying that to the exiles as they're heading into Babylon. God's promise that in time you'll see that all of this is part of something larger. It's a direction in a direction toward something. Certainly true in our lives, true in the life of the people as well, I think. The second is, if it's a direction that we've been given. After all, the direction so much of our lives comes to us, not simply because it dawns on us, but because someone comes to us to let us know. Even in Revelation, what we're given is all the answers before we know all of the questions, but it's given to us so that we have a direction that forms and shapes our lives. Things come to us, not because we're clever or smart and can open our eyes and see what others don't see, but because it's given to us. Freeman Dyson, famous atheist, wrote, I'm not a tourist in this universe. We're not merely spectators. We're actors in the drama of the universe. I belong here, and I'm part of it. It's what he's come to because he stands on the shoulders of those who came before him. We're given a direction that comes to us not simply because we plan our own lives, but because our lives are directed. And we live amidst two great energies, the first being gratitude for all that we've been given and all that's been entrusted to us, and then generosity, because we're not to possess, but to prosper our world. All the things that comes into our hands come into them to pass through them in time. All the gifts that we've been given, personal, intellectual, familial, societal, they all come to us as free gifts to us. But in the course of our lives, they pass through our hands. If we live long enough, all the gifts that we've been given from the beginning eventually are exhausted until what we're left with is what we had at the beginning. Simply the fact that here we are in the world, alive. All the gifts that are given to pass through our hands one way or the other. And they pass through our hands in generosity. We're the products of time, but we're also the participants in it. And what God has given us, well, and since all of us are a product of time, gratitude, and generosity, as my friend Gil Bailey says, because of that, it's never too late to have a happy childhood. Never too late to have the things in our lives begin to mean something significant and important even if they're long ago, or even if they've always been tinged with sadness until now. God has given us a world to live in and a world to make new, because we participate in this direction and in this time. Or as the Nigerian author Chinua Achebe said in one of his short stories, with all that God has achieved and with all the potential that God has placed here and all that lies within us, just because we are upright, we're looking at the world and wondering what the world can be. He said, it's not late. In fact, he said, it's still morning on creation day. Everything that has happened and all that we have participated in all the great arrow of time that points in the direction toward us, in God's eyes, we've just barely begun. So let us pray. God, our Father, we give you thanks for this day, for our place in your creative presence amidst this world. May our gratitude overflow the banks of our lives and pour into the thirsty soil of those around us. And may we continue to open ourselves to all you have in mind for us, that the world might continuously be blessed by our cooperation in your plan. Bless all those gathered here today to do the business of the people. Open their minds to your will for them, and keep them close to the vision you have shared for a world that still labors amidst the darkness of error and the stain of selfishness. May all of us open our eyes to note those least among us, that we might stretch out our hands to serve their needs, and so to serve you in our midst. And bless the time shared and invested by those gathered here. May it produce much fruit in deliberation and decision. We ask this in the name of Jesus, the gift of life to those who believe, and the gift of hope to all who long for a world made new, who lives and reigns amidst our glowing hearts, now and forever. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Madam Leader.
Mr. President, would you recognize Senator Dossett for introduction of Nurse of the Day?
Senator Dossett, you're recognized for introduction of Doctor of the Day.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do believe I have Nurse of the
Nurse of
Day.
the Day, excuse me, Senator Dossett.
It's with great pleasure that I introduce Donna Fessler from Owasso, who's with us today. Please grant her the privileges of the floor and give her a warm Senate welcome.
Madam Leader.
Mr. President,
Members, please take your seats or take your conversations outside.
Mr. President, would you recognize Senator David for the presentation of House Bill 3705?
Senator David, you're recognized for the explanation of House Bill 3705.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Madam Leader. Members, this is the education appropriation bill that we are passing before April 1st, according to statute. This bill outlines the money that we passed in our huge revenue bill, and now we are appropriating it to the areas that it needs to be appropriated to. I want to point out in this bill, this is House Bill 3705. If you can find it on your desk, there's a lot of information in it. Basically, we are appropriating a little over 1.4 billion to general revenue, and this part of this is designated for the increased compensation for certified personnel. So I want to make sure you guys see that. That's on page 1. We appropriate money from the Education Revolving Fund to the tune of $762,000. That's the 1017 money. We appropriate money from the Common Education Technology Revolving Fund. That's a little over 47,000 or 47 million. We appropriate money from Mineral Leasing Fund from fiscal year 19 and 17. We go down through there, we have the Education Lottery Trust Fund money, we have the Rainy Day Fund money, we have school consolidation of the 260 fund, for a total of $2.2 billion, which is a 22.76% increase into the state aid funding formula. Then moving on, Section 8 appropriates $91 million to School Activity Fund. Section 9, $33 million is in there for textbooks. I know that's been a point that this body has, it's been very important for this body to make sure that we appropriated that money and line item it back out for textbook money. There's $15 million for general revenue money. At the end of the bill, you'll see that we are appropriating $2.9 billion, which is a 19.7% increase overall in education funding. So with that, I move that the bill be advanced at the appropriate time and yield for questions.
Members, you've heard explanation on the bill. Will there be questions on the bill? Senator Stanislawski, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, can you tell me, when was it passed to do education funding by April 1? What year was that?
I don't know, Senator. I was not here at that time when that was passed.
Follow-up, Senator Stanislawski.
Mr. President, would you believe it was, I don't know exactly, that's why I was asking, but I think it was around 2006. And so the follow-on question is, has education ever, or 2004, has it ever been funded by April 1?
Senator, that's a very good question. One other time it was funded, so this will be the second time since then that it has been funded, or we have passed the appropriation bill before April 1st.
Further questions? Will there be further questions on the bill? Seeing no questions, Senator David asks unanimous consent that the bill be advanced. Without objection, that shall be the order. Members, we're on third reading and final passage. Will there be debate? Will there be debate? See no debate. The vote will now occur. If you favor the measure, vote aye. If you oppose the measure, vote nay. Clerk, open the roll. Senator Bass, Senator Burkeen, Senator Brooks, Senator Dossett, Senator Floyd, Senator Fry, Senator Holt, Senator Eichley Freeman, Senator Kidd, Senator Matthews, Senator Pittman, Senator Quinn, Senator Scott, Senator Silk, Senator Sparks, Senator Standridge, Senator Sykes. Senator Standridge, Senator Silk, Senator Matthews, Senator Bass. Chair is preparing to close. Close the roll. House Bill 3705 have received 42 aye votes and 0 nay votes that are declared the same to pass. Now, Senator David asks the vote on the bill be the vote of mercy, giving those right to change who so desire without objection. That shall be the order. Will there be changes? Seeing no changes, I declare the bill passes an emergency measure. Senator David presiding.
Mr. Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Momentarily, we'll be going into special session, but prior to that, I will yield for announcements.
Will there be announcements? Senator Dom, you're recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Madam President. General Government will meet Monday morning at 10:30. Agenda will be going out. General Government Monday, 10:30.
Other announcements? Senator Stanislawski, you're recognized for an announcement.
Education Committee meeting 9 a.m. Monday morning. See you then.
Senator Fry, you're recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Madam President. Reminder, Public Safety Committee will be immediately following special session.
Are there any further announcements? Any further announcements? Seeing none. Mr. Leader.
Madam President, I move that when the clerk's desk is clear, the Senate stand adjourned in regular session until Monday, April 2nd at 1:30 p.m.
Members, you've heard the motion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Declare the motion to have passed. Members, the Senate will stand adjourned until Monday, April 2nd, 1:30 p.m.
End recording. Begin recording Thursday, March 29, 2018, 20th legislative day of the second extraordinary session.
The 20th legislative day of the second extraordinary session of the 56th Oklahoma Legislature is hereby called to order. Mr. Leader.
Madam President, I ask unanimous consent that the roll call of the Senate in regular session today be considered the roll call of the Senate in extraordinary session today.
Members, you've heard the unanimous consent request. Without objection, that would be the order.
Thank you.
Mr. Leader.
Madam President, would you recognize Senator Bice for explanation of House Bill 1014?
Senator Bice, you're recognized for the explanation of House Bill 1014.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, House Bill 1014XX is the apportionment of the motor fuel taxes to transportation. There is an amendment at the desk. I'd like the clerk to take that up at this time.
Okay. Clerk will read.
Amendment number 1, I move to amend House Bill number 1014XX as follows. On page 13, lines 12 and 13, after the word state on line 12 and before the word fund on line 13, by restoring the stricken word transportation and by deleting the words highway construction and maintenance, and by deleting sections 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and by renumbering subsequent sections, and by amending the title to conform by Senator David, co-authored by Senator Bice.
Senator Bice, do you care to explain the amendment?
Thank you, Madam President. I am presenting this on behalf of Senator David. My apologies. The amendment actually ensures that we continue to appropriate those dollars rather than the dollars going strictly or directly to transportation, the roads fund. So we're going to continue to appropriate those dollars. They will flow through that formula. Yield for questions.
Okay, that concludes explanation on the amendment. Are there questions on the amendment? Seeing none, Senator Bice asks unanimous consent that the amendment be, will there be debate on the amendment? Seeing none, Senator Bice asks unanimous consent that the amendment be adopted without objection. That will be the order. Members, we are back on the bill as amended. Will there be questions on the bill? Senator Stanislawski, you're recognized for a question on the bill.
And I apologize if you mentioned this, but I had to step out for a second. So is the cap of 575 still in effect then, even with the amendment and everything?
Thank you for that question. Madam President, that cap does not change.
Are there any further questions? Any further questions? Seeing none, Senator Bice asks that the bill be advanced. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Declare the bill to be advanced. Members, the bill is now on third reading and final passage. Will there be debate? Will there be debate? Seeing none, the vote will now occur. Clerk will open the roll. Are there those wishing to vote or change the vote? Chair's preparing to close. Senator Bass, Senator Burkeen, Senator Brooks, Senator Dom, Senator Floyd, Senator Eichley Freeman, Senator Matthews, Senator Silk, are there those wishing to vote or change the vote? Chair's preparing to close. Chair's preparing to close. Close the roll. House Bill 1014 having received 42 ayes and 1 nay, I declare the same to have passed. Mr. Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, would you please recognize Senator Bice for explanation of House Bill 1015? Madam President, I'm being told that Senator Brown's voting machine was inadvertently touched. He is not in the chamber today.
The clerk will show that Senator Brown has been excused from the vote. Is that it?
Reopen the vote.
We will reopen the vote to make the correction. Okay. Close the roll. Now House Bill 1014 has passed by a vote of 42 ayes and 0 nays. Mr. Leader.
Madam President, would you now recognize Senator Bice for explanation of House Bill 1015?
Senator Bice, you are recognized to explain the provisions of House Bill 1015.
Thank you, Madam President and Mr. Leader. House Bill 1015 continues to keep the current exemptions for motor fuel in place. With the passage of the motor fuel tax last night, this just ensures that the current exemptions continue to be exempt. Move advancement at the appropriate time and yield for questions.
Members, that concludes the explanation of the bill. Will there be questions? Will there be questions on the bill? Seeing none, Senator Bice asks unanimous consent that the bill be advanced without objection. That will be the order. Members, the bill is now before you on third reading and final passage. Will there be debate? Will there be debate? Seeing none, the vote will now occur. If you favor the measure, you vote aye. If you oppose the measure, you vote nay. Clerk will open the roll. Are there those wishing to vote or change their vote? Chair is prepared to close. Senator Brooks, Senator Fries, Senator McCourtney, Senator Peterson, Senator Silk, Chair is preparing to close. Close roll. House Bill 1015 having received 42 ayes and 0 nays, I declare the same to have passed. Mr. Leader.
Madam President, would you recognize Senator Yin for explanation of House Bill 1016?
Senator Yin, you're recognized to explain the provisions of House Bill 1016. Members, please give your attention to Senator Yin.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Mr. Leader. On behalf of Senator David, House Bill 1016XX creates the State Healthcare Enhancement Fund, and monies from the cigarette tax that we passed yesterday, the cigarette tax increase, if the governor does indeed sign that, shall go into this fund starting in fiscal year 2020. Prior to that time, the monies go to the General Revenue Fund, and the monies in the Healthcare Enhancement Fund shall be utilized at the discretion of the legislature for the purpose of, surprise, surprise, enhancing the health of Oklahomans. I ask that the bill be advanced at the appropriate time and yield for questions.
Members, that concludes explanation of the bill. Will there be questions? Will there be questions on the bill? Seeing none, Senator Yan asks unanimous consent that the bill be advanced without objection. That will be the order. Members, the bill is now before you on third reading and final passage. Will there be debate? Will there be debate? Seeing none, the vote will now occur. If you favor the measure, you will vote aye. If you oppose the measure, you will vote nay. Clerk will open the roll. Are there those wishing to vote or change the vote? Chair is preparing to close. Senator Matthews, Senator Matthews is not here today. Senator Brown. Yes, Senator Silk. Chair is preparing to close. Close roll. House Bill 1016 had received 39 ayes and 3 nays. I declare the same to have passed. Mr. Leader. Mr. Leader.
Madam President, would you recognize Senator Thompson for explanation of House Bill 1018?
Senator Thompson, you are recognized to explain the provisions of House Bill 1018.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. Members, this will set in statute that the Tax Commission shall not sell cigarette excise stamps to any wholesaler in excess of the amount of their monthly average amount of such excise stamps. With that, I yield for questions and move for advancement at the proper time.
Members, you've heard explanation of the bill. Will there be questions? Will there be questions on the bill? Seeing none, Senator Thompson asks unanimous consent that the bill be advanced without objection. That will be the order. Members, the bill is now before you on third reading and final passage. Will there be debate? Will there be debate? Seeing none, the vote will now occur. If you favor the measure, you will vote aye. If you oppose the measure, you will vote nay. Clerk will open the roll. Are there those wishing to vote or change the vote? Chair is preparing to close. Senator Brooks. Senator Fry. Chair is preparing to close. Close the rolls. House Bill 1018 had received 38 ayes and 5 nays to declare the same to have passed. Now, Senator Thompson asks unanimous consent that the vote on the bill be considered the vote on the emergency, given those the right to change if so desire. Without objection, that will be the order. Will there be changes? Seeing none, I declare the bill to have passed as an emergency measure. Mr. Leader.
Madam President, would you recognize Senator Bice for explanation of House Bill 1024?
Senator Bice, you're recognized to explain the provisions of House Bill 1024.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Mr. Leader. House Bill 1024 is the state employee pay raise bill. The operative language is going to be on page 2. It delineates the amount of the pay raise based on the annualized salary for each category. It is a stair step, $2,000, $1,500, $1,000, and $750. This would take effect June 30 I'm sorry, July 1st would be the date. I move advancement at the appropriate time and yield for questions.
That concludes explanation of the bill. Will there be questions? Senator Sparks, you're recognized for a question on the bill.
Thank you, and for the presenter, pursuant to the, as we discussed earlier, pursuant to the conversations we've had with the Pro Tem and the floor leader and others, this is a step in the right direction. But even if we pass this, this wouldn't preclude us from continuing to look at this as far as the mechanics of the two-tiered system versus just a flat across the board raise, and how that may be adjusted depending on availability of funds and other issues as this goes forward. Is that correct?
Thank you for the thank you for the question, Madam President. That is correct. We will be continuing to look at this as we move forward, moving to this new salary structure.
Are there any further questions? Any further questions? Seeing none, Senator Bice has unanimous consent that the bill be advanced. Without objection, that will be the order. Members, the bill is now before you on third reading and final passage. Will there be debate? Senator Sparks, you're recognized for debate.
Just pursuant to those questions, I want to again thank the floor leader and the Pro Tem for the discussions on this issue, and look forward to working on that in the future. Thank you.
Senator Bice, do you care to close debate? She waives. Members, the vote will now occur. If you favor the measure, you will vote aye. If you oppose the measure, you will vote nay. Clerk will open the roll. Are there those wishing to vote or change the vote? Chair is preparing to close. Senator Brooks, Senator Quinn. Oh. Chair is preparing to close. Close the roll. House Bill 1024 having received 39 ayes and 3 nays, I declare the same to have passed. Now, thank you, Senator Bice. Senator Bice has unanimous consent that the vote on the bill be considered the vote on the emergency, given those the right to change who so desire without objection. That will be the order. Will there be changes? Seeing none, I declare the bill to have changed or to have passed as an emergency measure. Mr. Leader.
Madam President, we recognize Senator Smalley for explanation of House Bill 1026.
Senator Smalley, you are recognized to explain the provisions of House Bill 1026.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Mr. Leader. Members, House Bill 1026 is the support employee pay raise for schools, about $52 million, which would come out to about $1,250 per person and roughly cover about 46,000 FTEs. Move for adoption, Madam President, and yield for questions.
That concludes the explanation of the bill. Senator Bice, you're recognized for a question on the bill.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm wondering if if my good colleague from Stroud thinks that this pay raise for support staff would be better structured to work it into the formula rather than granting those employees a flat raise.
Thank you, Madam President. Your good colleague from Stroud very much agrees on that process. However, we're pretty far in the game right now, and we don't want to pull the rug out from under what's been said out there. So I think in good faith, we move forward on this now. If we have to come back in and look at how we appropriate those dollars, I know that you've heard from superintendents. I have. Many of the body has. It's also probably a good policy for us to do that. But I think out of good faith, out of last night, a historic moment, that we continued on our word. Moving forward, we can fix that somewhere at another time during this session.
Are there any further questions? Any further questions? Seeing none, Senator Smalley has unanimous consent that the bill be advanced without objection. That would be the order. Members, the bill is now before you on third reading and final passage. Will there be debate? Will there be debate? Seeing none, the vote will now occur. If you favor the measure, you will vote aye. If you oppose the measure, you will vote nay. Clerk will open the roll. Are there those wishing to vote or change the vote? Chair is prepared to close. Senator Pittman, Senator Scott. Chair is preparing to close. Close the rolls. House Bill 1026 having received 34 ayes and 9 nays. I declare the same to have passed. Now, Senator Smalley asks that the vote on the bill be considered the vote on the emergency, giving those the right to change if so desire. Without objection, that would be the order. Will there be changes? Seeing none, I declare the bill to have passed as an emergency measure. Mr. Leader.
Madam President, will you recognize Senator Eichley Freeman to introduce the student nurse of the day?
Senator Eichley Freeman, you are recognized for an introduction.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to introduce student nurse Aaron Hopkins. If we can give him a warm Senate welcome and grant him the privileges of the floor.
Mr. Leader. Mr. Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, members, we still have work to do in special session, but we're awaiting action across the rotunda. While we're doing that, it's very important every week we recognize the young men and women who come up here and page, and if they could come forward, I'd appreciate it, and we will recognize them at this time.
Okay, could we please have the pages come forward? Mr. Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. As we started the tradition just a few weeks ago, here in a second, I'm going to ask unanimous consent that the pages be allowed to use the floor leader's mic in order to introduce themselves and tell a little bit about themselves. But before we do that, Madam President, in this group we do have, it's cousin week, I guess. We have the cousin of Senator Burkeen, somewhere in here. They didn't want to admit it. I wouldn't either. The cousin of former Lieutenant Governor Jerry Askins. She was much quicker to raise her hand. The cousin of House Member Leslie Osborne. There you go. And the daughter of Court of Criminal Appeals Judge Rowland. There you go. Madam President, at this time, I do ask unanimous consent that the pages be allowed to use the floor leader's mic to tell us a little bit about themselves.
Members, you've heard the motion. Without objection, that will be the order.
Where are you from? If you have college plans, all that kind of stuff. And then we'll just...
Hi, my name is Anne Marie Kucha. I'm from Norman and I'm here with Senator Sparks. I am graduating senior this year, hoping to attend Georgetown University in the School of Foreign Service, majoring in international politics this fall.
Hi, my name is Kitty Fox. I am with Senator Rob Standridge. I am a senior at Noble High School, and I am planning to go to a tech center for my nursing degrees and LPN degree.
Hi, my name's Daly Walker. I'm from Atoka. I'm here with Senator Burkeen, and my future plans are I want to be something in the medical field. I'm not sure. He wants me to go to OSU, but I've thought about OU Medical. I'm not really sure yet.
I'm Caroline Rowland. I'm from Oklahoma City. I'm here with Senator Holt, and I'm a senior, and I will be attending TCU and majoring in criminal justice, and then going to law school after that.
Hi, I'm Brooks McVeigh. I'm from Chandler High School. I'm here with Senator Smalley, and I plan to attend Oklahoma State University and then go on to medical school.
Hello, my name is Tanner German. I am a junior from Chandler High School. I am also here by the grace of Senator Smalley. And after I leave, my plan would be to go to OU, majoring in pre-med, and then continue on to med school, find a wifey, and then drop out of med school so I can be a stay-at-home dad.
Hi everyone, my name is Allison Ragsdale. I'm from Tuttle High School. I'm here with Senator Paxton, and my plans for next fall is to attend Oklahoma State University.
Hello, I'm Casey Scott. I live in Pawnee. I'm here with the wonderful Senator Griffin. I plan to go to Oklahoma State, Cowboys, and major in education and teach teach either elementary or music education, and then go back for my administration degree.
Mr. Leader.
Madam President, would you recognize me for a motion to reconsider?
Mr. Leader, you are recognized for a motion to reconsider.
Madam President, I move the Senate reconsider the vote whereby House Bill 1010 passed.
Mr. Pro Tem, you're recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Madam President. Move to table.
We have You withdraw your point? Okay, members, the motion to table is a non-debatable motion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The motion to reconsider has been laid upon the table. Mr. Leader.
Madam President, would you recognize Senator Thompson for a motion to reconsider?
Senator Thompson, you are recognized for a motion to reconsider.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Mr. Leader. Madam President, I move to reconsider the vote whereby House Bill 1011 passed.
Mr. Pro Tem, you are recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to table this one as well.
Members, the motion to table is a non-debatable motion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the motion to be laid upon the table. Mr. Leader.
Madam President, I yield for announcements.
Will there be announcements? Will there be announcements? Seeing none. Mr. Leader.
Madam President, I move that when the clerk's desk is clear, the Senate stand adjourned in special session until the call of the chair.
Members, you've heard the motion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The Senate special session will stand adjourned to call of the chair.
End recording.